post-recession with Zillow and Realtor.com, the big portals, the cost per lead has gone up drastically.
Yeah.
Right? If that part of the market changes, that's what we're seeing right now. A couple of things that we're talking about that I want your help talking about.
Okay.
And the idea is that for over a decade, well, we've seen a shift in how agents work since I've been on. This is my 20th year in this business. And over the time, it was like when I first got in early 2000s, people were still like it was a boom. I got in when things were booming still, right? And this is pre-recession. And we would go to these conferences and people would laugh at us like expireds. There's no expireds. You know, everything I do is from my sphere of influence, or it's only referrals. And so there was like this, small group of Mike Ferryites and then everyone else. And then post-recession with Zillow and Realtor.com, the big portals, they started generating leads. And then there was, I don't know how many millions of other lead companies popped up during that time, right? So they're generating tons and tons of leads for agents. Agents had an amazing amount of extra discretionary income because, the market was so hot and things were, you could get your license and sell a house just by getting it listed often before it hit the MLS. You were here during that time.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so you have all these agents have all these leads, and the problem is that for too long, they started to rely on third parties to feed their business. And we're seeing in the marketplace now how that's not as effective because all of these people are buying leads. They T360 at an event estimated that over 1 billion leads were sold to real estate agents last year and the year before.
Billion?
1 billion.
Holy crap.
4 million transactions.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of garbage in the leads that agents are buying. And so there's a few things. The cost per lead from 2015 to 25 has increased more than 1,100%. So the cost per lead has gone up drastically. And the conversion rates of those leads has gone down drastically. Because in order to feed the realtor demand, they had to generate more and more and more leads. So now you have, not just the portal selling leads, but then there's overlap because they're selling some of the same leads because consumers are on multiple platforms, filling things out. Then you have the hundreds of other smaller niche down lead generators, and that's not working. And what we want to help agents understand is this is akin to someone renting a home versus buying their home, right? And we believe it's better to own your home. And we could go into that, but net worth of a homeowner in America is 40 times more than the net worth of a renter in America right now. So we don't need to have the argument. We're in real estate. I hope that agents believe that
you should buy a home.
You should buy a home. But there's advantages, and it's the same in our business. We're like, hey, you should own parts of your, ownership, home ownership. But we believe you should own certain parts of your business. And the more that you rely on third parties, the more impactful or detrimental it can be if that part of the market changes. That's what we're seeing right now, is leads are not converting, and agents were relying on those. And so that's hence why you're here. I want to talk about your thoughts on how important it is to own the systems and the methods to generate leads in your business instead of relying on other people. So why don't we just jump right in and start?
Okay.
Let's jump in and start with your year-over-year growth as a real estate agent and where you're at now in what we're seeing is a tougher market than 2008, 2009.
Yeah. Right?
It's a tougher market. Well, but how are you doing?
Better. I like this market. I like it a lot. And could I tell you why I'm doing better? I don't know that I could necessarily point to one thing. I think I have more urgency to be like, yeah, okay, I can't just show up in the office once a week and make my calls and hope that everything works out. So it's given me a little bit more urgency, but it's also really going back down to those skills that I learned when I started to get into the business, or when I first got into the business, but it was still one of those markets where it was easy to sell stuff.
Yeah.
So it was almost one of those things of, I'm really glad I have those skills now. But at the time I was like, why do I need these? It's not hard to sell a house.
Yeah.
And now I'm figuring out like, oh yeah, crap. Skills are what sells the house now.
And those are what sells after you get a listing. Talk to me though about your systems to get the listings, because that is what people have relied on to get the customer. Whether it's a buyer or a seller, people have invested tons of money into trying to buy leads to be able to go and feed their business. How much of your business comes from purchased leads versus your own lead generation?
I mean, I'm probably 80% my own lead generation versus 20% paid leads.
Purchase leads.
Yeah. But I would say that even if I purchase leads, I wouldn't be that effective without having the skill set of being able to go out and find my own.
Okay. So talk to me as if nobody knows who REDX is. Nobody knows who Kent Brown is. Yeah. They didn't, they haven't found you on social media yet, which they should do. But talk to me about how you generate your own leads. Calling
and texting people and reaching out, networking. I'm doing that a lot more, but specifically with calling. And I think that people look at REDX and you think, okay, REDX just gives you phone numbers and you can call them, and I don't want to prospect and I don't want to do that. But I use it in my listing presentation as well. Can I tell you how I use it?
Yeah, tell us. Yeah.
So I say I have a system called REDX, and REDX does a few things for me. So it gets me the names, phone numbers, email addresses of your neighbors. And I use all of that information to target people in your neighborhood. Because Curtis, have you ever heard the saying, fish where the fish are?
Yeah, yeah.
So how does that Charlie Munger always says that, right? So if I want to find someone that can afford to live in a home like yours, or even likes your neighborhood, chances are they probably live here and have friends and family members that they will recruit to live here as well. So we use the phone numbers to call the people, and we target market them. We just say, hey, we just listed a house for sale. It's 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,500 square feet. Do you know of anybody that would like to move into the neighborhood? And you know what I hear 99% of the time? No, I don't know anybody. But I'm not looking for people to tell me yes. It's the same methodology of when you buy a car, you start suddenly seeing that car everywhere. Yeah. Because it's now called to your attention. Right. Now that you know a home is for sale in your neighborhood, subconsciously you're going to help me sell it to your friends, family members, and coworkers. So that's the first way we're going to use the information. Second way is through emails. We target market these people on social media. We're allowed to just target market specifically your neighbors. And then we send out postcards as well. And this is what those postcards look like, right? So we use all 3 of those data sets. And in a nutshell, that's what we do to net you the most amount of money in the quickest amount of time. Would you definitely say that's what you're looking for? That's what I'm looking for. Great. What's great about this is this is the heart of what I'm trying to get to, is that that is another, not only does it help you get the listing, because people are like, wow, this guy is actually going to do something to sell my home, but it's another system of lead generation. Yeah. Right? It's the effort isn't single purpose. It's not just to impress your client or to actually get the listing sold, but it's another system. How many listings from those types of conversations have resulted in business? I mean, every time we get a listing, we'll typically take 1 or 2 in the same neighborhood just from that methodology. So again, it's not one of those things of like, so it helps us find the listings, it helps us sell the listings, and it helps us get more listings. So yeah, what other Zillow lead source helps you do that? Right. None. Okay, so go back to, let's talk as if you didn't have a listing at all. Yeah. What is the system? Would you go buy leads? No, you couldn't. So if you didn't have a listing and you're not going to buy leads, what is the system that you would put in place, or that you have in place, that generates consistent listings?
How many listings will your team do first this year? Do you know?
I think we're at 108 right now.
With how many people on your team?
There's just 3 of us.
Okay. That's important.
Yeah.
Because a team of 100 and does 108, that's not very impressive. But a team of 3, that's pretty impressive. And just as a tangent, we've had you on our different podcasts before, and somebody locally looked up your listing stats in the MLS. And they said, well, I didn't see those listings. They all go under the team name, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Just in case somebody wants to try to call Kent out on this, go ahead and call his broker, and verify. Okay, so on track to do 108. How many transactions will you do this year?
37.
37.
Yeah, that's what I'm on track to right now.
Okay.
So hopefully more.
Yeah. Okay, 37. That's not bad. What's the average price point?
800,000.
Yeah, 30.
So.
Okay, 37 listings. How many of those came from purchase leads? You said probably 20% of those?
Yeah.
Okay, so 80% of those listings are coming from calling.
Yep.
So let's talk about your system. Who do you call? Why do you call them?
So expireds, definitely call those. They're low-hanging fruit. They've already raised their hand that they're looking to sell. It's a little more competitive, but they're kind of nice. As long as you're not attached to any outcome, they're really nice leads to call, and you'll typically pick up. If you're just casually calling them, you should do 5, 6, 7 of those a year.
Yeah.
Right. So we do those. For rent by owners, we go after as well. Again, for rent by owners are not just, hey, we want to pick up listing leads, but we also want to pick up investors.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that just want cash for their home, and you're like, cool, we can get you cash offers. And that's the way you go after those. And then we circle prospect around everything that we list and sell and goes under contract.
Okay. I want to bring up your 53 days.
Yeah.
And I just, for people listening or watching, I want to make sure that they understand that you may not have to do what Kent did. What's so fascinating about your 53 days of calling was that we now have statistically significant information in a very short amount of time to understand all of the conversion funnel. So why don't you just recap for me what you did in those 53 days and what that resulted in down the funnel?
Yeah. So up to this point, or where I was.
Oh,
so 53,000
during the
calls,
53 days, and then separate what have you done since then?
Yeah,
because of it.
53,000, 19 deals from that.
Well, you said that too fast. 53,000 dials.
Dials. Yeah, not contacts.
53,000. So 1,000. So it's like 6, sometimes 8 hours a day of calling.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It's painful.
How many people can endure 53 days of pain to get... You did... How many listings during the 53 days resulted from the calls? 13. And since then, you've done 6 more listings from those calls. Yeah. So to date... Just
with casual follow-up.
And how many months has it been since you did the 53,000?
It ended in June. So what is that, 3 months ago?
July, August, and September, yeah. 3 months ago.
It was a bad time to start it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're going into the busy season. Yeah. Okay, so 19 listings. Do you know your commission number?
At this point, I think we were like 220.
220,000?
Something like that.
Slightly above the average realtor income.
A couple big closings helped.
How many before listings? What are the other success metrics that you look at when you're because if people are saying, well, I need to build a system, you make dials, then you have conversations. How many conversations?
So this is the thing that I've heard, that I've talked to my coach about, I guess I should say, a lot through this experience, is really you should probably be carrying 10 to 15 solid leads at one time, because that's what 100 deal a year producers are doing.
Yeah.
They don't have a list of 5,000 leads that they're following up with. They have 10 to 15 that they hyper focus on, get those through the funnel, but they're prospecting every day to add more.
Right. And so you're looking for people that what qualifies those 10 or 15 people that you would be looking for?
I know where they're going, when they're going there, and why they're doing it.
Okay, give me an example.
So let's say I'm moving to St. George. I'm doing it in the next 3 months, and I'm not doing it right now because I'm waiting for school to get out.
Gotcha.
That's a good why
Yeah.
as to why they're waiting. Obviously, you want to press them a little bit. If they say, oh, we're going to move 6 months from now, Curtis, if you knew that by waiting 6 months, it could potentially cost you tens of thousands of dollars, would you have to wait, or could you potentially move sooner?
No, I have to wait.
You have to wait. See, like if they have to wait, that's still a good lead. But every time I call you, I can still, hey, Curtis, you still thinking about moving to St. George? I mean, it's been a couple of months, so you're still, what, 4 months away now?
Yeah, 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, but by pressing, you get their real motivation, right? And their real urgency level. Because if they have a reason for waiting, it's different. If they say, well, I just heard it's better to list in the spring, or, you know, that's a different type of objection than, oh, no, my job, I'm contracted to this date, and then we're out of here.
Yeah.
You know, that's a pretty motivated seller.
So back to the systems, though.
Yep.
Have you seen that guy that goes around and he's like, hey, how did you make your first $1 million or whatever? He interviews people on Instagram. So I saw one where he was interviewing, I want to say it was the founder of Samuel Adams Beer Company.
Yeah.
And his uncle invested in it. And he said, I called my uncle one day. He said, what's the best piece of advice you got? And he said, I called my uncle one day and I said, hey, I got a computer. And he said, do you know what all businesses that are now out of business had? A computer. Do you know what they didn't have? Sales. Focus on sales.
Yeah, they didn't have customers.
Yeah. So I think I look at that. My coach keeps me pretty level-headed with this as well. He says, produce your way out of activities.
Yeah.
So if you're just starting out, like, sorry, you just have to do the sucky thing.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it. So you do the sucky thing, and then guess what? You'll outproduce your way out of those activities.
Yeah.
Like prospecting, do I want to do that forever? No, but it's a skill set I will forever be grateful for. Because if I do outproduce and I'm like, okay, it's time to buy leads and I'm tired of this cold calling thing, I know I'll have the skill set and the confidence to convert.
Yeah, because even buying leads, if you buy even with the poor conversion, if you had enough money to buy enough of them, conversion is just a percentage.
Yeah.
Right. Right now, you'd have to buy hundreds of thousands to get the same conversion rate of an expired, though.
Yep.
Right. We just looked. The average for expireds and canceleds across the country, 45.6% will be back on the MLS in an average time of 40 days.
That's wild.
Yeah, and expireds and canceleds are up like I don't know, 25 to 30% this year over last year.
Yeah.
That's a really good group of people to focus on, to go after in your business. Okay.
You know what's interesting? So I prospect with a guy in our same market, and it's funny how he'll set appointments and then I'll set appointments with the same person, and he just follows the script exactly, and it's amazing, and it's not complicated at all. And I try to overcomplicate it and just think if they're motivated, they're going to talk to you one way or another. So another piece of advice I would have is, even if the script seems so stupid, just talk to enough people and someone's going to tell you yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so prospecting has become your system. You told us who you prospect. You told us how many. I'll go back to that 53 days. How do you know about your conversation rate, and then how many of those became leads?
Yeah, I think I was at 40. Oh man, I was just above 4,700 contacts. 4,700,
so like 8%.
Yeah,
that tracks. We just pulled data because everybody's scared of calling right now. I mean, TCPA. Well, you should be cautious. You shouldn't be scared. But you know, TCPA regulations. There's a lot of state stuff coming out, and like Texas just passed a law where an agent has to register as a solicitor, which I think is amazing, because how many people are going to do that? You go do that. You know, a lot of people are just going to give up. That's friction. They go, I'm just not going to call anymore ever. But calling people not on the do not call list is a 6 to 8% conversation rate. And that's different. I mean, 10 years ago, we were talking to 25% of everybody we dialed. But still, how long does it take you to dial 100 people, to make 100 dials?
100 dials? An hour?
Not
even an hour.
Okay. So let's say an hour. An hour, so you're going to talk to 6 people. Do you still prospect every day?
Yeah.
So every day for
Not
more
at
than
the level I was doing, but
yeah, well, you got
Yeah.
How do you do 19 listings when you're also doing 8 hours of dials, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to do the math here. Let's bring it way down and say, 5 people. You actually have 5 good conversations. 5 conversations, 20 days a month. You're not prospecting on weekends. Do you prospect on the weekends?
One Saturday a month.
Okay, let's say you don't. 20 days.
Yeah.
That's 100 conversations a month. Out of those conversations, how many of them resulted in appointments?
Out of 100, probably 3.
3%. Okay.
Yeah.
4%. Now your team.
Some of them are going to cancel.
Okay, but out of 4 appointments, 4% appointments, how many of them end up becoming listings?
3.
3
out of 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 listings taken a month just with 100 dials a day.
Yeah.
Right. And that's real math based on you doing 53,000 phone calls in 2 months so that you could understand what the funnels are. See, the benefit here is people don't have to do that. They can, they should. That would be amazing. But if they just want to commit to making less dials, then the math still tracks.
Yeah.
Now your listing presentation matters there. And if people are really listening, they would see how, the prospecting actually helps you get the listing. But
I think it's the type of leads that you call too. I always call expireds FSBOs for rent by owners or quality contacts.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is quantity.
Right.
So if you're circle prospecting, you're probably not going to do a lot of business calling.
Yeah. So your appointment rate might be higher with those expired if it's just 100 expired conversations that you have.
Yep.
Do you know that number?
I think it's 13 contacts to an appointment.
13 contacts to an appointment.
With expireds.
Okay. We don't need to get long-winded about this. I think what we're trying to articulate to people is that you can buy leads and you can beat your head against the wall. NAR says most internet leads have less like a 0.2% conversion over a 2-year life cycle. So yeah, if you want to go buy 30,000 of them and just keep working them, and NAR's saying that, but 100, a billion leads were sold and we didn't, do that many transactions. And half of those transactions were referrals, not leads.
Yeah.
Right. So the math doesn't track, but we're just citing the studies of the information we have.
Which is why you push a little harder when you get people on the phone. It just saves you so much more time. Yeah. And with cooperation comes motivation, or with motivation comes cooperation. It's super true. Yeah. If they're not answering your questions and are really pushing back on you, it's just okay, well, I'm just going to prospect more and find someone that will answer these questions.
Well, it's a system and it's reliably giving you business every year. Mm-hmm. And you can predict it, especially in a market like this where you're not going, well, I can't predict it because I don't know how many expireds there are. There's a lot. Yeah. And that's increasing. So any last thoughts on this idea of agents need to take control of their own lead generation versus relying on buying leads to do it?
Yeah, there's more and more regulations coming out with Zillow and with purchase leads as well that you hitch your wagon to that, you're going to kind of be hosed. Yeah. So I would say the most successful agents are going to be the ones that start learning how to door knock. Door knock. That's a good system. We talk a lot about that. Yeah, if you start door knocking, what regulations are going to come out against that? Right. Knocking on someone's door. Certainly not federal regulations. Not federal regulations. Some neighborhoods might have solicitation things, but that's pretty minor and easily overcome, as we know, by all the people knocking on our door. But, yeah, that's awesome. Door knocking. Any other advice? This is a practice that I'm doing, and I don't know that I necessarily could give you advice on it because it's pretty new for me. In ChatGPT, you can go in and create projects. And one of the projects I'm working with every day and prompting is, how can I make it so people call me rather than me having to call them? Yep. Because within the next year or two, I want half of my business to come from inbound. Yep. Rather than outbound. Yep. Can I tell you what some of our other successful agents are doing for, systems that they take control of their lead generation? Well, it's 2 things, and I know a lot of it because it's 2 features inside of our platform. One is postcards, and one is social media. And the cost of social media ads is really high because you're trying to get the person's information.
But when you start with the person's information, the cost is very low because now it's just a branding and exposure rate.
Yeah.
How many times can I get my brand in front of these people? So we have one agent down in Hawaii who understands that his market in Maui, that you've got the majority of people that he sells to are not there. These are vacation homes and rental homes and everything else. And what's really unique is he takes all of the homeowners in a neighborhood, not the whole island, but a small neighborhood that's very hyper local focused. He'll stand in front of the sign, and I don't know the names, Mona Vista or Vista or something. I don't know. But he would stand in front of that sign and make a video that says, are you worried about understanding what's going on in Monte Vista? And all his call to action is just getting people to opt into his newsletter, because he knows for every person on his newsletter list is worth $100, because he just knows the math. He knows how many transactions he gets. Right now, he just sent me screenshots of his lead campaigns. He's less than 30 cents a click.
That's crazy.
Less than 30 cents a click, because it's hyper focused on the message for those people in that neighborhood. And so that's one. The other one is just postcards. And the great thing about inbound calls, as soon as someone engages with you, now they've established a business relationship. You don't have to worry about do not call. You don't have to worry about those other things. You can reach out, you can text.
Yeah.
And so the postcards with a QR code where they can scan it and engage with you in a real way seems to be crushing it right now. Higher open rates than digital marketing. I just read a stat today that more consumers prefer a printed marketing ad, and it builds more trust than a digital one.
Interesting. I mean, that's true. Have you ever bought anything on Instagram and not gotten it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Kent, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Sharing this. And look, the message is clear that if you want to control the growth of your business, you have to control the lead generation in your business.
Yep.